Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people, wherever the case may be, wherever you're tuning in from into this live stream on a Sunday evening, a swarmy, sultry Sunday evening, as you can tell from the way Keith Cross is dressed. But then again, he always dresses like this. I mean, if you're 6'5" and built like a shit house, why wouldn't you dress like that? But listen, welcome everyone. We are here, Redfellas, as usual, as per. Last week we celebrated Champions League qualification. Tonight we are celebrating third. It's not official, Cavster tells me. We've just done a bit of digging beforehand, but it's pretty much nailed on. Guys, hope you're all doing well. Jurgen Klopp with a post-match statement and some quotes that he's going to do, and he's going to make us cry. He's going to make us cry, guys. He says, this is a very special club. I didn't make them believe. I reminded them what happens when you believe. Conroy, hope you're doing well. How are you, mate? How's things? Jurgen Klopp's going to make us very teary-eyed in the next couple of weeks, isn't
he? Yeah, probably, most likely. Grizz, it's obviously the end of an era. A person who, at the time when he took over, I think a lot of us, we don't mean to forget, but we're very kind of reactive in the way we think about football and what we should have. But if you do remember that time, it was just kind of a case of we held so much for the Brendan Rodgers title charge, but ultimately, I think if you're a football person at the moment, there was not really any substance of longevity for that team. So when Klopp came in, Liverpool were off their perch, if you know what I mean. We weren't competing. We're maybe there or thereabouts, maybe have, just there's a season now and again. It was, it was quite good, but the consistency and continuity wasn't there. And he's came in, and I'm very kind of cynical at times, but the job he has done should never be looked down on. He's done an amazing job, and to where the club stands right now, and where we back again at the top. And that doesn't mean always winning leagues, but it just means competing and being there. I think it's an outstanding job, and I don't think many people. There's a lot of great managers, but I feel like where we were at that time, I think there's maybe only a few that could have came in, maybe not even any, to be honest, in football right now, that could have done the job to have taken us from where we were to where we are now. And I don't think anyone should ever forget that. I think it's very important not to forget that.
No, absolutely. Me and Cav were having a little private, personal chat, and we were talking about sort of things that we take granted for. Granted for. We're going to feel like that about this guy, aren't we, Cav? It's all bubbling up. It's all building up. We put on a brave front last week, and we were all happy and cheerful and everything. Today, I wanted it to be a celebration. People were a bit flat going into this game. This was the big week that was supposed to be the Europa League semi-final, and then the crucial home game to Spurs and all of that business. And it was a bit flat, but I was adamant that I'm going to absolutely enjoy this. I don't know, watch along, and I don't often do watch alongs, but it was brilliant. Go and check it out on playback. There's a replay facility as well. And me and Mohamed, who joined me, we were just so happy just to embracing the occasion and situation, because, like I said, sometimes you just have to be, you have to appreciate what you've got, and we had someone special.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got the Champions League, you've got the Europa League football being played, you've got the title running, which we're no longer a part of. And look, our season now is just a formality. But we never look at what's going on outside of Liverpool Football Club. We've got so much to celebrate, so much to look forward to be entertained by, that we should always just look at what we've got. And what we've got is the finale of what's been an incredible legacy from our manager, Jurgen Klopp. So these last few games are just about celebrating him, remembering what he's done for us as a club, and for maybe us as people, as fans, and just trying to soak it all up before he does eventually move on and we enter into the new norm, if you like. But he's an incredible man, and I think there's so much that can be said about him and what he's done. But I think the most the way I would put it is that what he gives people goes beyond football. I think you can really take the things that he says, the way that he leads, and the way that he carries himself as a man and as a leader, that we as fans who follow him and who follow Liverpool can sort of apply in our own lives in a positive way. And I think that's a really special thing, because sometimes you can be great at something, as he's great as a manager, but how do you transcend that beyond? How do you help the wider thing? And I think that's what he's done remarkably well, is connected the fans back to the football club, but also has helped support fans in their own personal lives, I would say, by just listening and watching what he does. So he's an incredible man as well as a manager, and it's coming to the end, and we should just remember it, celebrate it as much as possible.
Yeah, we've got a nice, healthy amount of you guys in here. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you weirdly, strangely haven't by now, and you're just spying on us. But yeah, let's get to 100 likes ASAP. That would be amazing. Our resident Elvis Presley lookalike, Ganto, says, I'm going to be a sobbing wreck. Big up Grizz in the panel. I think we all are. I think if we're not, I don't know, I'd want to get whoever's not tested, like, if he's human or not, or she. Big up, guys. Onslaught is absolutely going to love Elliott both on and off the ball. Kwanzaa is outperforming all our centre-backs for me right now. We are going to get tucked into individual performances and as a team. RXTV says, I'm just here to make sure you all pronounce Dom's surname correctly. I don't think we probably need to. He only had a few minutes, so I don't know. Big up, Gucci Up says, Magpies 96 says, if Spurs and Fulham don't let City win and Man United beat Arsenal, the title is back on.
Big up.
Oh my God, is that Keith's burner? Is that Keith's burner? That's what I want to know. Is that Keith's burner?
Well, it keeps the side.
PID's in the building. He says, big up, G. Please, people, smash the like button. Top panel, top content. Absolutely top panel. Absolutely top content. Do what PID says. Big up the chat. Conroy says, hit the likes, folks. And skip to my Lou. Haven't seen you for a little while. Hope you're doing well. He says, from where we came to where we are, the last games are for greatest gaffer in my lifetime. Big up, fellas. Smash the like button. He's absolutely right. Keith, was it a celebration for you today? Was you relaxed watching this game before this? How did you feel? Was you a bit flat? Or did you think, no, it's a celebration? These last 3 games, win, lose, or draw, it's a massive celebration.
Yeah, the latter. You know, I felt like it was the first time in a while where I've watched a game without a certain sense of anxiety. You know, like, oh, it's a must-win game. Like, you know, it's like, it's do or die. We're in this title race. We're doing X, Y, Z. It's the first time I could just sit back and relax and just enjoy a football match, to be honest with you. And that's the perils of having to chase teams like City, now obviously Arsenal as well. It gets intense, it gets emotional, etc. So it was a celebration. Oh, you know, I was really looking forward. I think this probably, someone in the chat could probably answer this, but when was the last time Liverpool had a week to prepare for a football match? This is the first time I can't remember the last time where the boys were actually able to go on the training pitch. And it's such a shame that I think that opportunity to do that came too late. I kind of felt that it would have been great if we had that opportunity, maybe after the United game, to kind of get a week, go back to basics, have a sit down, have a chat. But games were just coming thick and fast. Every 3 days, another match. And we never really got a chance to kind of sit down. So I was really looking forward to just...
Gucci Up says 2015.
He's probably right. So, yeah, for me, I was just looking forward to celebrating and seeing the boys fresh and really just saying, you know what, last couple games, you know, what Jurgen Klopp has done for Liverpool, I think the best way to describe for me is, because I don't want to see this as like how maybe United saw Fergie leaving or Arsenal saw Wenger leaving, because I don't think it really is that. I think it's more of a case of Klopp has built Liverpool back to being an attractive proposition on the world stage, right? Make no bones about it. We've managed to attract a pretty decent replacement, right? Someone who's been touted and sought after by some of the top clubs in world football to go and manage their clubs. And that can only happen because of what Jurgen Klopp has positioned Liverpool to be. You know, he at the end of the day, you know, when the season's over, I consider it to be a success, because now we've got Champions League football again, right? We've got a great squad, whereas we're still a very attractive proposition. And that is all because Jurgen Klopp has taken us from doubters to believers. And there's one thing that I always see, a picture that gets shown when it shows that Liverpool crest on the floor, and then it says Jurgen, the guy with the cap, walking up to it, puts it up, and then walks off and leaves his cap. And that's exactly what Jurgen Klopp has done. He's put us back on our perch, back to believing, and back into making us so attractive. And that for me is his biggest legacy. Forget the trophies, which have been great. Forget what he could have done, etc., etc. Just by doing this, it keeps us in good stead for what's to come in the future.
Look, obviously his last few selections aren't going to be scrutinized as much as they would have during the season, Conroy. But still, there's a few points of talking points about selection. Few questions we may have had before. I've done the call-in show, which was mega. I really enjoyed it. There was loads of positivity and good feel factor. Some questions, of course, there has to be. And some of the questions were obviously the outside world were waiting to see if he's going to pick Mohamed Salah, his talisman since he's been here. But he had a spat with him. Was he going to pick him? Of course he was going to pick him. But I guess the surprise selection, and there's always one, probably every week, there's always one kind of surprise selection. And that was young Harvey Elliott. Mohamed Salah, was you okay with it? Harvey Elliott, was you okay with it?
Yeah, I think for me, Elliott, definitely, I was happy. I think we said before, he's warranted a start. I know he's had a few, and he's had great impact from the bench this season. And people might say, when he started, he's not been that great. But I feel like because he's done so much, he definitely warrants an opportunity or more consistent opportunities starting matches, in my opinion. And I know we're going to speak about his performance today, but no problems with that. I feel like he's still such a young player. So he's going to obviously have bits of inconsistency or parts where he's maybe not great from the start. But I feel like you can see there's so much there that I think that's just a matter of time. So no problem with Elliott at all. Gravenberch coming out of the team, who actually has been okay, in my opinion, recently. And then when it comes to Salah, I'll be honest, looking at this game is Tottenham. You may have a debate in that from the result last weekend and the spat or whatever you want to say, Tottenham's a pretty good game for Liverpool. Tottenham are going to come out and they're going to give you space in behind. It's not going to be a low block team that's going to be hard to, a tough nut to crack. I feel like this is actually a pretty good game for us, especially what's happened and the way it's kind of the season's went in the last couple of weeks. So with that in mind, I did think Klopp was always going to choose Salah today. Even if you look at it tactically, he probably would have a bit more space as well to operate and link up with the other players. And in general, I think you shouldn't really look at football with that emotional mindset of picking players on that basis. But he's had a poor spell as of late. But I, from my mind, just leading up to this game, I can't see Salah not being picked. So there'd be like a bit of a divide before the end of the season. I just can't see that happening. So I thought Salah would have started today.
Cav, look, obviously, if Cody Gakpo starts up front, I didn't mention Cody Gakpo's position, but obviously that meant Núñez not playing. From a tactical point of view, was you thinking this is a game that you'd want Núñez to start? Obviously, Ange loves to play a high line. And if Núñez is going to forge a successful Liverpool career, we're not going to get into a debate about it yet. We'll do that in the summer. But was you a little bit surprised that Cody Gakpo's starting and then he's starting through the middle? Because obviously some of his best performances recently has been off the left. Was that a tactical thing that you thought, not quite sure if that makes sense?
Not really. I would understand why Núñez would be in the team with Tottenham pushing so high up and having that high line. Núñez, if he was a bit better at timing his runs, could have maybe killed him with that. And if he had, his shooting boots on, he would have been a great pick. But he's not in good form. And Cody Gakpo is, to be fair to him. Their form is swapped around a little bit. When Núñez was doing well, Cody was struggling, and it's vice versa now. Cody's actually been doing well, not setting the world alight in my opinion, but doing well. And I think that we were at a point now, be it that it's a bit of a dead rubber, that you just select the guys that deserve a start, really. And that's something that I've been a bit upset about in recent weeks, thinking that the most informed players should be playing, and we've kind of not been doing that for rotation, health, whatever it is. But I was happy with the selection of Cody Gakpo because I just think he's in good form. I also feel like I feel like the recent bad form since he's started playing well again, he feels a bit more aggressive. I'm not sure if it's the new trim or what, but he's a tall lad and he's got muscle on his body, and you've seen him sort of hold people off, and you kind of feel that, you know, you understand that the Dutch players, they play with this calmness and they play at a bit of a slower pace and a bit relaxed, but you kind of feel like if someone lit the touch paper within him, he would be a real handful because he's got pace and power and technique, and he just feels like he's a little bit too casual at times. And I do feel like since he's sort of found his form again, he's found some aggression in his game. And I really like that. I really want my forward to really feel like they are the best player on the pitch and that nobody can touch them. I think he's demonstrated that in moments. Harvey Elliott, super pleased to see in the team. I think he's had a brilliant season and he deserved to have started more games than he has. And the final one really was just Kwanzaa. Again, I think he's probably arguably the best centre-back on form at the minute for us, and definitely warrants his start. I love his overall game. You can tell he's still young because he just plays with simplicity, doesn't overcomplicate anything, and just does everything really well. And that's a great foundation for a team to have when they can do the simple things well and be aggressive. Then you build from there. So overall, I was never going to be upset with the team. There's nothing on the line, but I was pleased that we selected some players that deserve to be in there.
Our front line looks more fluid when Cody starts, Keith. Maybe add to that. But then the start of the game, I wanted a Jurgen Klopp type performance in every single game that's left. And if ever a start epitomized the good old Liverpool, what we remember, not letting teams out. And Spurs picked probably their most robust, hard-working, tenacious midfield three. They dropped the maverick that is Maddison, footballing genius according to some. Shout out my friend Toby. But they dropped the maverick Maddison for a hard-working Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr. Tried to shore up things. They pretty much had their left back missing, but Romero and then the other fella next to him, Van der Ven, Porro's playing. We thought it might be one of those because we haven't been obviously putting chances away. We haven't been fluid, but we started off really on the front foot. It was like we're saying, listen, we're going to go out, but we're going to go out guns blazing.
100%. I thought, like, particularly in that first half, Spurs had a lot of possession without doing much with it. And I thought anytime that we got the ball, we just looked dangerous. We were brilliant. Like, it's almost like the way we created chances in this first half epitomized why we are where we are this season. And I think that's what can be really frustrating when I hear the talk about Liverpool's season this season. People talk about Liverpool like they haven't been a force to be reckoned with in attacking situations this season. Like, we create a hell of a lot of chances. We played some really good football when we're on it, right? And I know that at times it can feel like, okay, we keep missing chance, we keep giving the goal when we have to chase the game. But by and large, like, our build-up play, particularly in the final third, has been cutting teams open a lot this season, right? Had we converted half the amount of chances that we've missed, we would probably be top of the league. So what I love today is I felt like there was just a freshness in the way that we were creating chances, taking our chances, making things happen for one another. I felt there was a great balance. And the thing is it's ironic, right? Because it was the Tottenham game away where Nunes was dropped for Cody Gakpo because Cody Gakpo was starting to find some form. And Cody Gakpo actually scored in that Tottenham game, then picked up a knee injury and was out for a month. And then he didn't really play himself back into form for some time, right? But at that point, actually, Cody had usurped him. And the reason why I think it works so well with Cody and Diaz is because I feel like they interchange with each other a lot. Cody likes to come off on the left, right? Diaz likes to kind of go through the middle from time to time. Between the two of them, I think they're a lot more intelligent to find which one should be in which position at which time. So it makes it kind of it creates chaos within the ranks, but controlled chaos. You know, Diaz and Cody Gakpo are a lot more. They protect the ball more than maybe a Darwin Núñez. So I really like the way in which, you know, the shape kind of complemented the players that were playing in it and the way that we were interchanging. And Mo Salah, for me, started that first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, like the Mo Salah that we've seen for the last 7 years. He was on fire. His touch was great. He was running at people. He was aggressive. And, you know, when Mo Salah's in that type of form, it allows the other players around him to pick up spaces because the opposition is so focused on Salah. So big up to him. And just one thing I wanted to say on him as well. You know, when was the last time? And I'm guilty of this and have been, particularly after some of the defeats we've had on the show. But when was the last time a player was out for 3 months and within the first few games that he's back, you know, finds his way, struggles a little bit, and people just written him off. He was written off on every platform you can imagine. Some of the stuff that the likes of TalkSport and Simon Jordan was saying were absolutely outrageous. Some of the players that I feel have ex-players who are jealous of what he's accomplished, who have a chip on their shoulder when it comes to Mohamed Salah, were just coming out with vitriol that made absolutely no sense. And Mo Salah showed within those 20-25 minutes that they were talking absolute rubbish. First player, what did they say? First player ever to bag 10 goals and 10 assists in 6 out of 7 seasons or something stupid like that. Continuous record after record after record. And he shows no sign of slowing up. So maybe we were all, in a sense, guilty of just not letting Mohamed Salah ease his way back into what was the longest layoff of his career. But that, you know, so I just wanted to get that off my chest, because I feel that
get it off your chest, brother.
Minutes, you know, he showed us why Liverpool absolutely want to keep him next season.
Get it off your chest, brother. Get it off your chest. If we're not going to defend our own, who's going to defend our own? You're absolutely spot on. They waited for the first misdemeanor, slight altercation, slight hint of problem or issue, and they couldn't wait to weigh in on it. And I'm embarrassed for Souness, who's supposed to be a Liverpool legend. You expect talk shit to talk shit. Everyone on their panel, you expect them to talk shit because that's what they do. Simon Jordan talks shit. Absolute pathetic vitriol, bordering xenophobia, Islamophobia. Everything that he said about him had made no relevance. He started talking about Mohamed Salah, the player, and said, I don't like him. Like, he started talking about his footballing ability and, I think he's overrated. I don't like him. And why don't I like him? Because he didn't say, in other words, and I'll fucking say it, the words that what he meant, because he asked for humanitarian aid for children dying. He asked for humanitarian aid, and he didn't pick a side. He said, I want stop people killing. And that's what he hated him for. Embarrassing, pathetic. And people ask me, are you surprised? No, it's not surprising that people are allowed to speak on whatever they want, however they want, with absolutely no repercussions. And so many pundits and ex-players are like, the likes of Troy Deeney, like, brother, look at your career. Brother,
Brother, you. What's that, brother? What's that?
That's the thing, though, isn't it? It's like, if you had people who've actually got good intellect to the game to pass that analysis over, you wouldn't have people like Jamie O'Hara, Troy Deeney to be these clickbait views. It's the whole
Jamie O'Hara and Troy Deeney, Conroy.
That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like, it's not as if you're getting insight from, like, for example, I don't know, but there's some players you know, it's like you can tell they're good at articulating the game. That sums it up. If those two have got getting paid probably decent money to do that, it should show you it's about getting controversial reaction, getting views. It's all about the amount of clicks. That's just the name of the game. So, and you know, the thing I found a bit more frustrating than anything is you can tell so many people don't watch Liverpool games. They just watch the highlights. You can see it all the time, because shouldn't be a shock to anyone. But this is not the first time Mo Salah is not like performed amazing consistently. Like he does have spells of this, but it's probably because they're watching match of the day and not see him score 2 that game when he's not played that well. So this is what I don't agree with, because he's definitely had times where he's like, he's not been a man, he's not been playing well, but because his finishing's a little bit off the now, or just a little bit not great. Like the Brighton game's a good example. As you said, Grizz, and there's a bit of a atmosphere. They've just jumped on that. But if you'd actually watch games, you'd see that this is definitely not there's not like as much an issue as people were saying, in my opinion, because I've told you before, I think his best habit is scoring when he's not playing well. And I've said that for like a couple of years. It doesn't mean every game he's playing bad, but I'm not been just saying this for the past 6 months. Like he's done that before. So to me, you can clearly see people do not watch the games. And as Keith said, this kind of what is it? Oh, that's him finished now. Was just nonsense. I feel like we'd spoke about a couple of weeks ago, Grizz, about potentially selling him, but that's a different topic.
Yeah,
They're two separate things.
And if people think we're hypocrites, so only last week we were slating him, no. We had an absolute hour's worth, pretty much. We had a near enough 2-hour show, and an hour was dedicated to sort of thinking ahead, planning ahead, assessing all the situation, and then giving our opinion. No one was saying Salah is dead, Salah is finished. Suddenly coming out with Salah is greedy, Salah is this, Salah is that. I don't like no, like makes sense. None of your business is in the building. So Salah and Rooney, the only players to score 10 times plus in 5 separate seasons. Also, is the only player to do it back-to-back 3 seasons in a row. I've got another one. I saw a very good tweet from someone on Twitter. Hope you guys can see that. Fellow called Grizz Khan. He says, remember we were hearing silly takes on Salah against big teams, or that he's getting a big-time player, Fugazi, blah, 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 etc. Players with 40-plus goals and 15 assists versus the big 6 in the Premiership. You know who the only 2 are? Mohamed Salah, Alan Shearer. That's the end of the list.
I hope they will. I mean, match today in front of Shearer.
I hope this gets read out on Match of the Day. That would be amazing. Do great for my clout. But Cav, that opening, I loved it. Look, we're not gonna talk shite about talk shite. We're gonna move on. We've got a game to talk about, and I don't want to get down sort of talking about awful punditry and clickbait, basically. I love the start. Harvey Elliott, Mohamed Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kwanzaa. That right side was cooking. But not only the right side. Normally it's only one-sided. Robertson, Diaz looked lively. Gakpo was drifting over to the left. Suddenly we were being unpredictable. It wasn't just Gakpo through the middle, Diaz on the left. Diaz was coming inside. As Keith says, Spurs had about 5 minutes, 10 minutes max of a bit of possession, but it was all calm. It was okay. And then we really pressed down on the accelerator, which resulted in the opening goal, I guess.
Yeah, I thought Spurs had the ball. I think you said it, Keith, without really creating much. The neat and tidy 1-2 touches. Son showed some good footwork at times, but I think we learned from watching their previous game against Chelsea where they were so narrow, and we were happy for them to be narrow because we have incredible attacking outlets with our wide players, in Robertson and Trent, as long as he stays wide. Cody and Diaz drift between themselves, but they all want to sort of come in field. Salah obviously wants to step in, but we had Elliott who was willing to do the overlap and occupy the wider areas, and vice versa with Salah. Robbo bombing on down the left. So we were able to exploit the width while battling with them in the centre of the park. And we were winning them battles. I thought Endo was pretty good. I think he was neat and tidy. He seemed like he'd had a bit of an improved performance. McAllister was good. And Elliott was sort of the standout midfielder, just ticking things over, tempo, getting on the ball, pressing. If he weren't the first man in the press, he was usually the second, winning the ball back and then trying to make things happen. I think the first chance we get is where he wins the ball back. He lays it off to Salah. Salah shoots. Keeper saves it. Falls back out to Elliott. He shoots. And nothing comes of it, but set the tempo, and that was great from Elliott to do that again. And I just think after their early possession and without doing much, we just started to take a stranglehold in the game. It became a usual pattern for us: win the ball back half the pitch, play the game in their half, and just try and sustain attacks. And it was really great to see. It felt like the Liverpool of old, like 18-19 Liverpool, where it was like fullbacks getting involved and the forwards cutting inside, and then you've got, you know, switches from left to right and forcing the opposition to shift across the pitch and so on and so on. So it was great to see. But the first goal was a little bit. Can you remember Salah's goal against Leicester, where Coutinho did that exact ball into the box, and Salah's there on the back stick to head it in? But that's almost a little bit of a trademark of Gakpo's. He was doing that a lot for PSV. Them little dinks into the back stick or finding a man in the box with his crossing. I remember when he first joined, a lot of people thought because of his size and frame that he'd be the man in the box, but actually out on the left, that's a large portion of his game. Was cutting inside and creating chances like that for other people. So it was great. It was when I liked that when Cody picked up the ball, he drove to the center of the box, albeit on the outside of the 18-yard box, but with intent. He knew what he wanted to do as soon as he picked that ball up, and he ran at pace, and then he picks his head up and he plays a delicate ball into the box, and it almost felt like a set piece with the way it kind of fell. And fair play to Salah, he headed it in. If he hadn't headed it in, Diaz was there to just tuck it away. If not, so it was a great goal, really nicely worked, and I was interested to see how Salah would celebrate, to see maybe he'd run over and give Klopp a big hug, but he opted to just keep it calm and, you know, fist bump the air, and that was it. And it set us on our way. It was our just rewards.
We didn't go behind.
Exactly that. We didn't go behind. You know, we didn't have any pressure in the game anyway because we've got nothing really to play for. But now we can properly enjoy ourselves, and I think that's what we did after we got that goal.
We did.
Sorry,
the crowd was up.
Sorry, apologies, because I've got a question for Cav actually, and maybe to you as well, both of you. Because Cav, at the start of this, when you were talking about Cody Gakpo, you were saying obviously he's big. You know what I'm saying? Like he's aggressive, he's got the stature and physicality to play through the middle. Now you've got the Dutch manager, who apparently there's a documentary where Cody Gakpo actually has a proper huff because the Dutch manager is trying to play him as a centre forward and wants to play as a centre forward. Klopp has really pushed this idea of him playing as a centre forward or as an 8 this season to like insane. It's been a bit crazy. What is it then? Do we let Cody Gakpo be who he wants to be, which is kind of like a guy that likes to drift and do these kind of things? Or is it a case that the next manager comes in and persists with trying to actually change him to allow his physical attributes to benefit that kind of position? I'm curious to get you guys' thoughts on that.
I think we've said it before. Cody's a little bit, because of his size, his height, his physical size, his touch, his control, his ability to sort of roll a defender or a man pressing him. He's a bit of a jack of all trades. And I think we'd love the idea of him being, you know, the next Firmino and playing that false nine role and using that frame to bring people into play. But I don't think he's going to be that. I don't think he's good enough for that. And I think that he's suffered from being played all over the pitch. But I think his best position is, I think it is out on the left. I've got to be honest, because he seems to, he's not the most dynamic, but he has got the pace and power to get to the byline and pull a ball back across the box. He will pick his head up and try and link and make 1-2s with his midfielders and forwards. If he does cut inside, you know he's got an incredibly powerful and accurate shot. And he also has that ability to pick a man out in the box. So I personally think his best position is on the left, but then it's the age-old thing. It's who he plays with, because there's no point playing him on the left if you haven't got other forwards that are moving. Today, that goal comes about because Salah is always there and ever the optimist, trying to get in goal-scoring positions to tuck it in the back post. You sell Salah in the summer and get an out-and-out winger. They probably don't have that desire to get in the box. So then a lot of Cody's game is lost. You know, it's always about how the three link up together. So I think, for me personally, given the choice, I think his best position is off the left. I'd like to stop moving him around and just give him a set position and let him play, because I just think physically and the technical ability he's got, if he just gets on form and plays consistently and plays in a good team around him, you really can see him being a handful. but it all depends. He's got to be fluid, whichever forward line we play.
Before I go to Conroy, our very own resident nerd who can't be with us today, says Gakpo is an invaluable profile to have in the forward line going forward. We don't really know who will be in 12 months' time. We don't really know who he'll be, I think he means, in 12 months' time. His versatility will be key. Conroy, how many times have we said versatility can be key? It can also be a hindrance, right? Unless you nail down a specific role. We can name players in the past that not sure about. Minamino wasn't sure of what role to have in the team. No, not profile-wise and not physically-wise, but there's a similarity there where we didn't know where Minamino fits. Sometimes initially we thought he might be a 10, and then a false 9 off the flanks. Cody, as I said, not stylistically, but in terms of, do you think he should nail down a role or let him be the versatile attacker and play in a variety of positions?
I feel like the thing for Minamino was, I feel like there's a ceiling there in the sense of he's probably always going to be that bench impact player, start a few games. Whereas I think slightly changed as well with 5 substitutes now. And as I said before, you've got 5 attackers, 5 forwards. Even if we sell in the summer, going forward, that's probably going to be the case. So you probably are going to have occasions where your front three is maybe not who it was at the start of the season. But I actually do like Cody Gakpo. I think today showed again that if he does get a run of games, I feel like he can maybe go further than we think he can, because there is a lot of potential with this player. I think his decision-making is a lot more clear and he's more clarity in his play. If the ball's on, he'll play it. And I feel like that's been improving as well. Whereas other players, I feel like that the penny doesn't ever seem to drop for that. It seems to be hit and miss. Sometimes it's a great pass, sometimes it's a wrong decision. But I don't know why I get that feeling when I watch him at times. And also like Elliott today, even for Salah's first chance, you referred to it, Cav, the puck passes on, there you go, that's it. Simple decision-making, not overcomplicating football and taking 10 touches. And that can happen, especially with creative players who are attackers who've got to the position they are in football through doing it that way, but not really linking in as well with the team. I do like Gakpo. I feel that unfortunately, there'll probably always be that versatility aspect to his game. Today, what surprised me was his best spell for Liverpool was when he played centre forward, kind of like false 9, like Firmino, not as good, but that was last season. He was good there. Today, it was quite interesting how he did, as you said earlier, Grizz. I think that's a really good point. Verged onto the left at times, similar to Isak, I would say. Now, I'm not saying they're the same player, but Isak does that quite a lot. Newcastle do sometimes play with 2 strikers up, but Isak's quite good at. He goes in behind, but then he, not to compare with Henry, but he does pull to the left at times. So it was good to see Gakpo mix up today with that. And if you've got an interchangeable front three, as Cav alluded to, a bit like what we used to have a couple of seasons ago, that can be great, because if you're all on the same page for movement-wise and where you should be positions when that player's over there, it can be invaluable. I see a player there. I really do. I think it might be a mistake to let him go. I feel like, and going forward, say like Diaz and Gakpo today, see if they've got that ability to communicate and interchange. I don't see a problem with that. If anything, it makes us less predictable, which I think does happen with a new manager coming in as well. If you've got that interchangeability, it can really work well. I struggle to see, let's say for the next year, Cody Gakpo is going to start every game at left wing when he's available, when you've got Luis Diaz. But who knows what happens in the summer? I think it could be one of them that the fact that he played today, the fact he looked strong today, going forward, unfortunately, I think his versatility will come into it, but I could see him starting more games in a starting front three. But I think that's a bigger question with Diaz and Gakpo, Grizz, though, and we're not going to get into that now. It's like, I think we'll have to see what happens in the summer for that. But I don't know, going back to Keith's point, see when you look at like the player as a package, I understand what Keith's saying. It's like you feel like this guy could go to a different level. Like he's tall, so he scores a header today. Can he excel in that part of his game? He looks quite strong as well. So you see him and you think this guy could be a world beater, but then at times he flatters to deceive. So Keith, can I just ask you quickly, where do you think, today's obviously a small sample size, but do you think he is a player that could get to that level and be that starter every week?
I think he can be, I think the one thing that he lacks, and I think that it's a personality trait more than anything else, is I just think that he needs to be a bit more, like have that bit more of kind of an evil side to his game a little bit more.
He's a
Do you know
team
what I mean?
player, too much.
Yeah, he's a team player. He's generally a nice guy, very, very nice, very humble guy.
Yeah, but we've got that, the guys. Look at the trait of strikers we've had. We always want one like that. Obi was like that, the team player. Whereas Mane and Salah were more ruthless. We just need the ruthlessness on the other sides.
But that's the key part. When you talk about his position, sorry to jump in, that's the key part. When I see him more as a brilliant creator, and he will get the goals, but I don't think he's got that burning desire to walk away from every game with 1-2 goals, get a hat
and
trick.
that goes back to your point, though, Cav, about who he is with going forward.
Exactly.
Will determine where we play him. If you know what I mean. If you've got, you say Salah, maybe that's a bad example, but if you've got like two ruthless wingers, or at least one, and someone who can chip in, like Firmino, Grizz, I think you said it in the show a couple of weeks ago. He said when it was on the Big Six, when you had Mane and Salah scoring 20 to 25 a season, Firmino's picking up 10 to 15, but no one's really looking at him to be the ruthless striker because you've got two players who are picking those numbers up and getting those important goals. So I'm not saying he's exactly going to be like Firmino, but Cav's spot on. Depending on who else you have, it can allow him to thrive in a team.
Alex,
and I feel like he can be that player.
It's the profile between your forwards that makes the player almost, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a combination of profiles. Any more questions?
Which is where Nunes will suffer because he wants
each other. and then Conroy replied, "I want to ask you, Kev. You might as well ask everyone a question as well."
No, I just finished. We spoke about him before, but it's where I think Nunes will suffer because I think he's a player. If you have him in your team, you go, that's who he is, and we just tailor to him. He's rapid. His movement's elite. I tell you what, everybody do the work around him and get situations where you get him through on goal or you create for him. Whereas we are a Liverpool team whereby we're like, everybody play their part in this fluid front three. And Nunes is struggling with that, I would say. His raw ability gets him stuff. But
I think without answering this super chat, you've answered the super chat then. So guys, Checkside sends in a super chat. Thank you very much. He says 2 points. Firstly, Souness has been nothing but a shame to this club thug mentality. Secondly, one of our front five needs to go this summer. Which one? I think we've kind of intimated where we're going with this. We'll go Conroy first. One word answer.
If I had to choose, right, probably Diaz right now. Which is mad. I know. I'm not saying we'll sell any, by the way. That's just if I had to. But that changes every week right now. That's like me getting my messages. It changes every week at the moment. So it doesn't hold much water.
Kev?
Honestly, the sad thing is there's a reason for any of them to go.
Oh, shit.
That's why I love them all. But there really is. I could give you a reason for every single one to go.
No, I absolutely get you. But shall I show you the funny thing, guys? Go on, Kev. I'll let you answer before I said what the funny thing is in my head.
Okay. Well, I won't go into this too much. I personally, if I had to let one go, I think it would be Salah.
You've explained that in previous shows.
Yeah.
Oh my God, these rice are too spicy. Sorry.
Luis Diaz. For me.
Kind of changing in Nunes though. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck in the middle.
I think with Darwin Nunes, still a player there. Luis Diaz, brilliant, phenomenal player, absolutely brilliant, and has played pretty well for us. But I think if you're going to look at that front five at this moment in time and think if there's another level to go, I think we're seeing we've seen the levels to Luis Diaz, and this is it. Whereas the others, I think there's still a level to go. And with Diogo Jota and Mo Salah, I think it's always a guarantee.
I think Cav's nailed it where he says there's and it's sad to say there's quite a strong case for any one of them you could make and not be made to look like an idiot in a conversation. Checkside follows it up. And this is what I was going to say. He says, by the way, I honestly do believe the Dutch contingent will benefit massive from Slot's arrival, not least of all Gakpo. I think Gakpo's the most bulletproof, guys. Who would have
Yeah,
said
is
before
that a
that?
coincidence? Yeah, the Dutch manager coming in.
I
Maybe
don't
it is,
know.
but he looks refreshed. Looks like he's ready to go. So
The way we're linked to Dutch players, it seems like we're going to have the Dutch national team as our 11 before too long. I swear to God.
It's mad though, but guys, we wouldn't have said this a couple of months ago, a few months ago. But I think he's probably the most secure. I mean, I know Salah is the most secure, but that's because that's Mohamed Salah. If you know what I mean, like I don't know, man. Mo gets you the most money to reinvest. I get it. I mean, look, I'm not even going to answer it because I don't know.
I think Lucho does. I think Lucho gets a fair. I think Lucho gets a fair price.
No,
I think clubs like
Salah
Barcelona, PSG, I think they come in him. I think they offer 50, 60 for him.
Yeah, but Salah gets 70, 80, Keith, minimum. Minimum. Yeah, minimum.
But I reckon that 20, 30 million pound difference is the difference between Salah continuing to get us into Champions League football next season, Lucho not.
Oh God, man! Listen, we scored 4 goals today. Today's not the day.
Right,
Talk about lack of goals today, but I get it. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Conversation for the summer.
Yeah. Salah scores a goal, and I think we really show our true Klopp colours, so to speak. Cav. Then there's a couple of incidents with the penalty incidents. Actually, let me go to Mr. PGMO, if I may. Obviously, Tierney was our referee, and Tierney's been on the receiving end a couple of times of Klopp. I really wish Klopp just punched him in his face before the end of the season. I don't think we've got him again. If we have, I just think Klopp, get the red card. 240 Cantona style, get the red card, take a fine. Fuck it. Who cares? But Tierney, 2 penalty incident shouts very quickly. Gakpo goes on a marauding, powerful run like Cav spoke about. He seems very powerful, and when he's running with the ball, he does. And I think he can develop that even further. Havertz was given yesterday a very similar, I'd say, incident, probably with less impact or less touch. And then there's a penalty decision, handball, which was not probably a handball, but just pressure was mounting. Any thoughts on that penalty decision?
Well, they weren't given on field though, Grizz. So that's the difference with the Havertz one. It's like the weight of the decision to VR to intervene. So like don't get me wrong, I think the Gakpo one's never a penalty anyway. And I did say the Havertz one isn't yesterday, but the difference is if that's given on the field, the Havertz one, it's like because there's contact. It's been a bit of an issue this season because that's the difference between those two. So if the decision's given on field, the bar is higher for VR to intervene, so that's why. So it's like comparing to incidents, it's a different thing.
Basically, I'm trying to bait you into criticizing a referee. Can you criticize either yesterday's referee or today's referee then in that case?
Absolutely. Listen, it's not like that with me. I don't particularly like Paul Tierney as a referee. I don't think Paul Tierney is a good ref. I don't think David Coote's a good ref. But I do know the laws of the game and the protocols. That's slightly different. I don't just say stuff for the sake of saying it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
No. I've been quite clear with that most of the season. I think just because, again, it's the laws and the protocols. Sometimes it can cause issues as well. So, for example, like the Havertz one yesterday, the best decision I've seen this season, I would say, was Havertz against Manchester United, where it got overturned because he kicks the defender's leg. But that was ruled as a VAR error by the independent key panel, which is football players in it as well, who said that VR shouldn't intervene because there's contact. That's an issue in general, I think, because with simulation and players doing that, like the Havertz one, that one needs changed to me because there's too many issues. Like yesterday, he's completely looking for that. So that's a protocol and law thing. On today, though, I don't think that's a penalty, and I don't think it's a handball. And I've never been Tierney's fan. You can get the clips from about 3 years ago. I've never liked Paul Tierney as a referee.
He's actually disgusting and awful.
I think there's sometimes like you can see refs who try to like make a mistake, but maybe overall you can look at it and be like, that's why they've done that. I just think Tierney's just not good at running a game in general. I just think there's better people who are like get a bit of a common ground on the park, if you know what I mean. But yeah, never been his biggest fan. But I think in today's game, fortunately, I don't think there's too many, to be honest. I will say, though, Keith says Gakpo's not got an evil side, but trying to get a handball for that decision was mental, like, because he literally heads it away, and he's like, it's a handball. So, I mean, maybe it's creeping into his side, Keith. Maybe it's getting there.
We need more of that. Cav, I thought we deserved more than a goal, and I was praying that we get it before half-time, and we do get it before half-time. And it's that goal-scoring freak, 2 goals in 2 games now. Andrew fucking Robertson. Where the hell has this goal-scoring freak been?
Can't believe you've taken this from me, Chris. Can't believe you've done this to me, mate. Can't believe you've done this.
I've done this on purpose strategically. Moving on to Cav from Conroy, because we'll be here all night on this segment. He gets a lovely tap in, 2 goals in 2 games. Just tells you the mentality of Robertson, where nearing the end, it's fair to say, of his glittering Liverpool career, but he's still making those marauding runs, and that's what we've been missing, right?
I think he's been really good, actually, the past few weeks. I think he's been a bit of a standout player when we've really been struggling. Build-up was great, actually, and everybody played their part. You know, McAllister sort of reverses a pass back out wide into Trent. I thought that was brilliant. I mean, I didn't even expect it as it happened. It was like, oh, hello, we're back in here, you know. And that's the vision and the weight and accuracy that the guy's got, and that's where you really want to see him, you know. Because
to be fair, that was the only thing he'd done. I thought he was probably the least impressive player in that first half. McAllister.
He's had a few weeks off, hasn't he? He was on top of the world, and then he had a very quick decline.
Copa America. I'm calling it now. He won mines on Copa America.
Really?
Possibly.
Is there Copa America coming up?
Yeah, this summer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
21st of June. Yep.
Oh
Canada, first game.
Might be onto something. Yeah, that's not good.
But I love the pass anyway. Goes into Trent. Nice to see Trent out wide again, because that's where I want to see him, to be honest with you. He's made a career, you know, being on the right side of the box and just playing the right pass or playing the right cross or picking out his man. He's one of the best in the world at it. And because we do this inverted thing, often he don't find himself in them positions. But, you know, we spoke about them playing narrow and how we would attack them out wide. And that's how this goal comes about. Great pass into Trent. Trent plays it across. And as it's fallen to Robertson, I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to hit this. He's going to hit this. And you just know, it's Robertson, right? The guy should end up with 10 goals a season with the amount of chances he gets. But in fairness to him, he just cushions it down into Salah's path, like showing unbelievable composure. Salah with a bit of a slipper shot, but fortunately, it forces a save out of the keeper and then it rolls to Robertson. He just tucks it on his right foot, I believe. So it was really nicely worked goal. Bit of fortune, but you earn that fortune when you have clear intent and you're trying to make things happen and you show composure in the box, enough composure to be able to get the shot away on target. Then, as we know, whatever happens at that point. Unfortunately for us, it falls at our players' feet. So it's what we've really lacked in this title running is composure in the box, and Robertson's shown it. So fair play to him. And 2-2 is crazy. But 2 goals before half time, perfect. Just what you want.
Keith, my God, 2.5 time. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's so refreshing to see that we got what we deserve. Robertson scores, Mohamed Salah scores, 2 veterans, 2 kind of, it's quite romantic that it wasn't none of the new lads. It was kind of the guys that have been through the trenches kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those ones where it's Robertson, it's Salah. The celebrations were mooted. Neither of them went really, mad with the celebrations, but I was chuffed to bits. This was a Jurgen Klopp 45 minutes, if ever we saw one. Heavy metal, attacking, pressing. I don't think Alisson had many touches of the ball. How many games have we spoke about Alisson having the most touches of the ball, whether it's save making or just touches of the ball at his feet? And that was positive, right? Probably one of the best 45s in a long, long time.
Again, goes back to it. Just the boys just look refreshed, It just looked like Jurgen Klopp. And that's the thing about Jurgen, for all, we talk a lot about his man management, but actually he's a fantastic coach. Him and that coaching team are brilliant. They clearly were able to take a step back because bear in mind, I mean, if we look at Tottenham have lost 4 games in a row now, right? And our kind of form could have very much depleted into that situation, particularly as, even though the title was not mathematically lost, okay, Man United have got something for us at Old Trafford on next week. I'm telling you now. Remember these words,
Keith. I'm gonna lock you off if you carry on.
No. But no, going back, no, it felt fresh. And actually, I think, as obviously we're going to go into the second half and talk about the second half, I'd like to start off really by obviously talking about the first half performance of Harvey Elliott. I just think that
you know what? Segue into the second half, because if we thought the first half was great from Harvey, and by the way, obviously I gave a little hint that Harvey's starting this morning. I tweeted, would anyone like Harvey to start? I think he should start. And I put the diamond emoji, and I just put that out on Twitter. And so many numpties, if you want to go and check it out. In fact, I feel like calling them out and sharing screen and reading some of the replies. In fact, we will have a bit of fun, and we will. Actually, let me try to find my Twitter. But yeah, go into Harvey Elliott, because I thought
with Harvey, right? So when we were doing the pre-season shows and we were talking about, one of the things I mentioned was, I feel like with us being in Europa League this season, and not having that type of pressure, I think Harvey Elliott had the opportunity to really kind of grow into this Liverpool team, really understand his role in this team. And I feel like Cups competitions have really allowed Harvey Elliott, who got a lot of starts in these, by the way, to really start to understand his roles and responsibilities within this team in that right-sided position. And 2 things that I think he has improved immensely on this season, right? The first one being, I think he's been really, really, really good in leading the press when the opposition have the ball in deep. Right, he's not the most physically, gifted person in the whole wide world, but he's tenacious, he's quick, and he knows when to press. And actually, I think there's been a few situations, even in our poor form, where he has been able to win the ball back in the opposition's half and create counterattacks. He's getting better at that, and he's still young. So the fact that he's already had this counter-pressing education from Jurgen Klopp, Slot, who likes to play with players like Harvey Elliott in his system, is going to have a lot of fun with him, right? He's an impact sub. I think he started games at times and has played absolutely brilliant, right? 100% over Szoboszlai. Sell, no. Like, all these kind of... I'm shocked, to be honest, personally, by that type of reaction. I actually think Harvey Elliott has been one of the shining lights in our squad this season, right? He's only started 9 games, 23 off the bench. But you can see that he is developing his game season on season. It's not the case where he's stagnant. So the counter-pressing thing is one thing I want to talk about. The other thing is, clearly he is spending extra time on the training pitch, working on his technique, on how to strike the ball, on how to cross the ball, on how to pass the ball. Can he improve his first touch? Yes, because I think for a player of his size and his diminutive, he can improve that first touch and be better at keeping the ball. He'd be levels. He has the opportunity to do that. But the way he strikes that ball, whether it be the cross or the goal he scores, that's been worked on the training pitch. So that for me shows a player that is humble enough to be able to develop his game, listen to the coaches, spend extra time on the training pitch, and continue to grow. And how old is Harvey Elliott now? I believe he's 21, right?
21, 20.
20. I mean, for a player to develop that quickly in such a big football club,
21,
at this pace, what is Harvey Elliott going to be by 23? Right? If he can do this now, what is he going to be like?
Saying it, guys. I keep saying it. We honestly forget, or we honestly don't have track of great players. And I'm not saying he's on their level or will be on their level, but great players like Bernardo Silva, like the other Silva, like Juan Mata, going back a little bit more. All of these guys were deemed too small, not dynamic enough to play on the wings, but great coaches made great players out of all these guys. And if we get a great coach, like we hope and believe Arne Slot is, he'll make him a player because this guy's ability is unrivaled. Conroy, that second half starts with him gegen pressing the ball, Mohamed Salah, winning the ball, and putting over them a peach of a cross where our very own new giant in the box, robust, what we discussed, Gakpo, with a brilliant header,
Brilliant header.
And then I just want you to sort of talk about the other goal because mamma mia. I mean, that move, the passing sequence, the switch of play, everything. It was almost like the goal Salah scored against Chelsea. Do you remember when he just rocketed it and the whole move and the crowd was, it just gave me that vibes. Harvey Elliott.
No, I think the thing for me is there's just too much extremism sometimes. It's like he does something and it's like that player has to be the superstar now and you're comparing it with others. I feel like it's each case by case, and he's shown so much that I struggle to understand how other people aren't seeing this, like his potential, but he's already doing a lot. He's already having match winning moments. I was listening to the comments earlier and we're talking about having match winners in your team. So let's talk about pressing. As Keith said, pressing, that's great. But ultimately, that's so important in football now. But getting goals comes from being part of teams for the pressing part, but having great passes, having great crosses. He's had several moments this season where he has created goals through, he is the architect of that. This is not just a player who we're looking at little glimpses in matches. This is looking away last minute for Diaz. That's his cross. He's done that several times. That's Crystal Palace away, winner. That's his shot. Like, so I'm not really understanding how people aren't seeing that this is not like a bang average player who can play 6-yard passes. Like, I'm really struggling, to be honest, because if you played football, if you watch football, the hardest thing is having match winning moments, either striking or creating. And I feel like we're underestimating how much his weight of pass is improving as well. I feel like he'll be able to thread passes through much better as well. That way you're coming in on from the right, but you've got that reverse pass. So if you look at, like, especially Arne Slot or whatever, however you want to operate the fullback or the kind of the wing forward or inside forward, I feel like that's going to improve so much. I mean, even look at, like, you mentioned Mata and stuff like that. It's like, look at certain players. Mata, I think he comes here when he's like 24, 25, or what do you want to say, David Silva? I'm not saying he gets to that level of passing, but there's so much time to improve that. And it's like the nonsense sometimes about, like, oh, you need to be this, you need to do that. I thought we'd improved, like, you need to be this size to be a footballer, because the best player who's touched the ball needed growth hormones because he was too small, right? And he's about 5'7", and he's the best player ever to touch a ball. And it's like, I'm not saying we're at that anyone's going to be Messi, but it's like there's several options where you've seen players who are just so clever and so good that it's just irrelevant. And I feel like, to me, he's shown so much at the moment of match-winning moments, which ultimately, not to sound obvious, wins you games. So I feel like he's stepping up. I don't feel like he's hiding. It's not as if he's going, passing a ball 5 yards to Salah, and Salah's beating 3 men and scoring. It's like he's having big moments in big games, and I just think the ceiling is going to increase with this guy. And maybe not the wing, I get that, but whatever you need to do to get him in your system, I think he's earned that he gets opportunities. And in general, that shot, so he gets it, as Cav mentioned earlier, kind of orthodox fullbacks did feel very reminiscent today. Trent plays an unbelievable switch. No, sorry, it's not unbelievable. It's standard for Trent, but it is unbelievable for any other player, Barth, KDB or Trent. Robbo, it's a bit too much in the cross, but it works out because it goes just over Emerson Royale. Salah gets it, shifts it to Elliott. And what's so great about this strike is when you sometimes try to curl a shot like that, you sometimes end up bringing it too close to the keeper and you don't get enough whip going wide to go outside the goal to come back in. He hits this perfectly by just going outside the post and coming back. It's an outstanding goal. Keeper absolutely no chance, to be fair. I think someone in the comments said it's a big moment for Elliott. It's maybe a statement moment. I think that's a fair point. I don't know if this is the one. I feel like maybe this season is a statement from Elliott, but yeah, I think this guy has shown all the signs that he can be a consistent player in this team going forward. And I think the problem we've got is people go, well, look at Phil Foden. Phil Foden might end up being one of like the best players in the Premier League we've ever seen. So like if he's half of Phil Foden or 70% Phil Foden, or even maybe gets to that level, that is a good yardstick. So like it doesn't have to be Foden was winning titles at that age.
We don't have
be
to
the
compare.
same, you know?
I think you're spot on. We don't have to compare. I mean, I know I rattled off 3 short, diminutive players. I didn't mean for the comparison. What I meant was sort of in terms of height, lack of pace. Like none of those 3 I mentioned matter. So the 2 Silvers are quick, but they're quick with the ball at their feet.
Players, yeah, not genetically blessed, not like athletes. I know, I agree, guys, and I think you're spot on. I feel like up here, even David Silva, just so clever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I'm not comparing again. I mean, I'm surprised Keith says his touch can be worked on. I think he was pulling out balls out the sky today, Keith. His touch was, I thought, immaculate. But of course, he's got things to work on. But Cav,
before we move on, do you know you mentioned some players there, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Juan Mata. What did they all have? Right, footballing brain. Right. And I know we sometimes, I personally feel like we don't like to say English players have footballing brains. We associate it with the Spanish and the Croatians because it's part of their aura, it's part of their identity, right? That's what we used to. And we often say that, you know, the English footballers, whilst talented, probably don't have the silk and the finesse and the footballing brain. But when you think about it, this kid comes in from Fulham, right? And he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I think Jordan Henderson and Milner very quickly sort of set some standards and made them clear to him and told him, look, that's not going to work for you in any kind of football club, let alone this one. So you need to book up your ideas. And from that point onwards, he really has had an impeccable attitude. Like when you think about his closeness with Mo Salah and like how much he tries to learn from him, and we've heard some stories, you know, in the background about Mo Salah teaching him and being a mentor to him and stuff like that. But he is a player that's 21. He's physically grown. If you look at him today when he's celebrating, I noticed he's got some calves on him. He's filled out a little bit. He comes into the Liverpool team and he has a bit of a breakout start to the season, I would say. Him, Trent, and Salah on that right side were playing brilliantly well. They were interchanging in their positions. It was fluid. We were brilliant offensively. He played his part defensively, and then he obviously picks up the injury, doesn't he, against Leeds? And from that, and then he's working his way back after that. But since he's been here, really, he has just studied the game. You know, he's never kicked up a fuss. He's never got too arrogant. He's never, you know, and he's got a lot of plaudits, especially at his time with the underage groups at England, you know, where he is the standout star. He's never let it get to his head. And he's recognized that there's better players at this team around him. And he's been happy to sit on the bench and watch the game and study the game and learn where the space is and learn that you need to play your way in. And my question mark to him at the start of the season really was, that's all great, but at some point you become the guy. So when we seen his performances before, it was very much get the ball, give it to Salah, get the ball, give it to Trent, you know, and be neat and tidy. And that's great. There's certainly a place in the game and the team for somebody like that. But what I think we've seen this season is he's transitioned now into being the guy not when we need him to, because he's not doing it enough yet, but he's taking it on himself. Like that ball that he took that off Salah, stepped inside, rode the challenge and took the shot away. Elliott isn't doing that. In the years gone by, Elliott's
probably looking to reverse it back to
him back. Exactly. And I think it's a great balance that he's got right now, where he recognizes that I've got to step up, I've got to take this on. If I'm in the team, I'm expected to work hard, I'm expected to press, I'm expected to contribute with goals and assists. He's doing that, but also you're not the guy yet. So let's not go too far ahead. Let's not start shooting from everywhere. Let's not try to dribble past 4 or 5 guys. Let's not try to get all the plaudits, because you still have to be a team player here. And I think he's got a beautiful balance about his game, and he does simplicity incredibly well. And the important thing for him will be, and I've said the same for Kwanzaa as well, in years to come, it might be next year, they're going to start getting some really big plaudits. And it's always about keeping their head on their shoulders and make sure that they continue to learn in the game and outside the game, and continue to slowly develop, because we've seen breakout stars when they get that fame and they get that plaudit and they get the big contracts and they start making their demands, that it starts to tail off, because as soon as you start getting paid big bucks, you're expected You know, there's an expectation on you. So I just personally think that he's got a great head on his shoulders, much like some of them players you've listed before. And that's why they went on to become great players, because they learned where the space was. They learned how to find pockets. They learned how to link up with teammates. They studied the game and their teammates. And that's what he does incredibly well. So I think we should be really excited by the likes of Harvey Elliott for that reason, not because of his output at the minute, because it's good, but it could improve. It's for that mindset. And I think that's really special to find in a player.
Yeah, attitude-wise, I think you're bang on. I think you're spot on for every young player. They need to keep their feet on the ground. All those cliches. I've had the pleasure of meeting his dad. Met him at the League Cup final or FA Cup final, one of the two. Can't remember now. He's massive. He makes Keith look normal, like he's massive. He's about 7'6". Nothing like Harvey, his son. It's crazy, but an absolute gem. And you could just see that they're just such a good family. You know, very level-headed and very calm. And he was just, saying, "Oh, I'm just happy for him because he loves Liverpool." His dad was saying, he just loves the club. And you can tell that in his celebrations, in the way he celebrates for other players. Every tackle, look how he was down when things weren't going right. Did you guys see his interview afterwards? I mean, that's a 20-year-old or 21-year-old. I mean, look how he speaks off the pitch, and he's learning to speak on the pitch as well. The confidence, the maturity to make the right passes, and as you said, responsibility, guys. Jurgen Klopp has sent him on numerous times with the responsibility of changing proceedings, guys. That's fact.
Yeah.
He's not being asked to come on when we're 2-0 up and bring on Harvey Elliott, give him 20 minutes. How many times has Harvey Elliott been thrown into the lion's den to make a difference? And how many times has he made the difference? And I think, Conrad, you just said statement goal or statement. I think he's made a statement season.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's made a statement season. And Keith, going on to, well, first I just wanted to talk about, we were talking about Trent and unbelievable moments. Like if that goal goes in.
Beckham against Wimbledon is very much like that. Yeah.
I saw flashbacks.
It was
So did Vicario. Vicario was scrambling
shitting himself.
You saw the way it dropped. As I said, if Trent was a bit further back, that goes in.
My God, he hit it too well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But Keith, talking about breakout, and I think this has been a breakout season for Harvey Elliott. Like in a different way, not as in we haven't seen him before, but in terms of I think he's really cemented his Liverpool future. Or short term, like for the next wherever, the manager won't be thinking about selling him or loaning him out. But I think, and it's fair to say, and even this is me saying it, even though I thought Conor Bradley was the breakout star for me personally, someone has overtaken him and stood out. And I think, I think this guy has been, wow. I mean, Gerald Konza, man, like the rise is crazy. It's meteoric rise.
Yeah,
I mean, speak on him,
bro. I call it. It's like he's lived the football version of a Game of Thrones. He started the season.
Can you explain, please? Because I'm
okay. So we're gonna
be context.
In terms of, he started the season right. Arguably, he was. So we had the start of the season was Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahim Konate, you'd argue Joel Matip, Joe Gomez, and Gerald Konza. Yeah, so he was number 5, right? And he has conquered, pillaged every single position, and now for me is the number 2. And Virgil better look over his shoulders, mate, because the way he's Game of Thrones, and why I say it's Game of Thrones, because it's happened for different reasons, right? The Joel Matip one, right, is a situational circumstance. But I always remember in that interview when and people kind of got a little bit because he was kind of like,
the Matip one.
Yeah, it's unlucky for him, but that's my time. Yeah, but obviously, still, that's what we might as well have just said that. Then Joe Gomez has had to play effectively has had to be an auxiliary wing-back all season due to injuries to Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andrew Robertson. Or you'd argue if Robertson and Trent had been playing non-stop this season, you'd argue Joe Gomez probably may have got a run in that centre-back position. But because he's had to be used in the left-back and right-back all season, he's been kind of just been pushed away. And that's his centre-back's his favoured position. So Joe Gomez goes, right? Then you got Ibu Konate. At one stage, Ibrahim Konate, at 2-0 victory against Arsenal in the FA Cup. No, Konza played on that one. But basically what I'm trying to say, I thought Konate at one stage, having really good form, once again gets injured, comes back, starts to feel the pressure flailing, in my opinion, to the point now where the last couple of months, Konate's performances have been way, way, way off. Now, there was rumors that there was personal issues that were going on behind the scenes. Could that have impacted his real life situation? Possibly. We don't know what they were, but we know that something was happening in the background. Circumstantial, boom. That's what I mean by Game of Thrones. Bit by bit, circumstance by circumstance, and every single opportunity that Gerald Konza got due to circumstances beyond his control with any of his rivals, he usurped them. He took their throne, he took their ground, he took their patch, and for me now he is without a shadow of a doubt the number 2 centre back. And why is that? I suppose because ultimately he does one thing that we have just been crying out for, in my opinion, and he's a cruncher of a tackler, man. That boy knows how to time a tackle to perfection. The way that he will win a ball back, he's not afraid to go in there and put his foot in. He times it really, really well. He's brilliant. When he goes on, he can go on a bit of a maze to run himself. He's a brilliant dribbler.
He did a couple of times.
Yeah. He's got the little John Matip on him. The only thing, and again, this could be debated as well, the only thing that I think he needs to work on this summer, if Harvey Elliott can work on his striking and turn into prime Kevin De Bruyne with some of those shots that he's been taking, Gerald Konza can get on a basketball court and learn how to jump like Cristiano Ronaldo to start winning some headers. Because that's the only thing that I think he slightly lacks from time to time is being like Virgil in the air, if you will. Because once he adds that part to his game, I don't think there's anything stopping him. Someone mentioned that he can be a bit slow to react, but I actually think that his reading of the game is actually really, really good and will only get better with experience, especially being a centre back, right? But overall, I've advocated for weeks now that he should have been started. I didn't like the fact that Klopp kept moving Konate to Konza to Konate. I think Klopp 4 weeks ago should have just said, Konza, Virgil, that's my starting centre back. Let's go. And I think that moving around, I think actually had an impact on him personally, because I believe in centre-back partnerships. Now I hope that moving forward, this could potentially be the centre-back partnership going forward, because I think Konza's earned is right. And that is my Game of Thrones analogy.
We get it now. Thanks.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh boy, not him. Konza is all right. Remember that missed pass caused us to lose to United and started our bad run?
It wasn't. He's getting it confused. Darwin Núñez's missed pass in the FA Cup was the one that got counter-attacked. We drew with United that pass, which can happen in football. Alisson and Virgil van Dijk against Arsenal at flipping the Emirates is a perfect example.
If you're pinning a 21-year-old or 20-year-old and saying our season crumbled as a result of him and he's all right because he made that one mistake, and look how he's come back from that, my friend, my brother, do better. You cannot look at it like that. I can't think of another mistake. Maybe the penalty at Crystal Palace where he
still won that game, though. Still won that game.
Still won that game, yeah. But in terms of even individual errors, guys, how many has Virgil made?
How many mistakes have the attackers had in the past 7 games? That's their job. Remember that. So let's compare that ratio.
He's all right. If you think Gerald Konza is all right, my God, you must have high standards.
Don't get me wrong. That it's a bad mistake, Riz. But when you compare it to the other mistakes,
but he's saying let's not forget.
I know. That's the thing. But
condemn him. Let's not forget he made that mistake that made us crumble. Fuck.
I'll tell you what we shouldn't forget. We shouldn't forget that he's a young man. He's playing for Liverpool, probably one of the most pressurised teams you can play in. He's playing alongside Virgil, so instantly he gets added pressure because he has to match the level of Virgil. He's going to
do you not
be.
think that
People
helps,
are going
Kaz?
to.
Cav, do you think that helps because you've got someone there who can like not hold your hand, but he's a leader, he's the captain, so you're the sidekick there. Do you not think he can guide them through games?
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely helps, but what doesn't help is when everybody avoids running on our side that has Virgil and Robbo, and everybody attacks that
Fair
side.
point, yeah.
You know, so he's constantly the guy that's having to make the challenges. He's probably having to front up defenders. Bearing in mind we play high up the pitch, so he's got to be brave and hold his line and all that side of the game, which we often forget about when we talk about defenders. We often want to talk about the tackling and aerial duels and the aggression, but actually holding your line and body position and side on and, you know, all of these things, especially when players are running at you and running beyond you, being brave enough to step up, third man runs, making sure you don't get trapped with them. All these things he does really well. Plus the fact he's playing with a right back that no other team is playing with, right? He plays with a right back that is sometimes a right back, sometimes a centre mid, sometimes a 10. Like the guy's
left winger.
Do you remember that time?
Even today, in the game today, at one stage, trying to win the ball back, and I'm like, I swear Trent is.
That's Trent. Is that Trent? I was thinking, is that Trent?
I swear to you, one time, right? First half, Virgil plays the ball to Kwanzaa, and then Kwanzaa turned right to play the pass, and he was like, "Oh yeah, there's no Trent. No, there's no Trent," and he had to run forward with the ball and ride a tackle, and it was like, it's brilliant. But no other team's centre backs have to deal with that, you know. And for a young man to just get it straight away is incredibly special. We shouldn't compare him to other young centre backs because they're being. Brainwave for Everton is a great centre back, a young man, but he's being asked to do totally different things in his side than Jarell Kwanzaa. For me personally, Jarell Kwanzaa's been asked to do a lot more thinking, a lot more intelligent defending, and I think he's doing it really well. I think he's
desperate for Conor Bradley to come back in that team. He's just desperate for an orthodox right back.
But saying that, guys, I know, but saying that Trent did vary his game today. Now, I don't know if that was instruction. Hopefully it was. But he did. Sometimes he was playing like an authentic overlapping right back. How many crosses did he do in that first half? And then he was inverting, and then he was playing left wing like Diaz, get out of here. But yeah, I agree with you. Everything that you said on the right-sided centre back issue is spot on. Register says VVD, Konate, Kwanzaa, Gomez, Vandenberg, Matip. Enough options for centre back next season. I think it's obvious, Matip. If we can get a sturdy, reliable, young, left-sided centre-back instead of Matip, then I think that's enough. And if Gomez decides to stay. Vandenberg is the interesting one. Now, I have been absolutely, totally proved wrong about this kid. I thought he's one of the worst signings that we have made. I didn't see anything in this guy's game. I thought, what have we bought here? He was, there was slow, cumbersome mistake after mistake. I thought, do you know what I mean? The guy's ginger as well. Like,
I knew he was going to say it.
No. I'm joking, guys. But he has gone to Germany and rebuilt his career. And by all accounts, apparently he was voted top 5 centre-backs. Was it top 3 centre-backs in the Bundesliga? Dutch. And while he was going through the ranks, guys, he was known and he had a very good reputation with the coaches. And Arne Slot has only coached in Holland, and he will have known his progress and probably tracked his progress because that's how great coaches know their players. I think we keep him next season if he's up for it, because that'll be the key. Because he's had a taste of first team action. I think we can easily fetch 20 million for him. 15 to 20 million, I think, is easy. Or do we keep? Quick thoughts.
I think Matip goes, and Chat might have to help me out here. I think he's one of the few players that wasn't pictured in the new kits, which is usually a telltale sign that.
It's obvious as well. I think.
So I think Matip goes, but I do think I don't know with Van der Berg. I hear what you're saying, but I do think we'll probably look to buy a defender. And if that's the case, he'll probably be moved on at that point. At 22, another loan. Would you get more value from him now? Maybe another year, but probably not much beyond that. So I personally don't. I see us getting a centre back in the transfer window. And I think you probably won't see him in a Liverpool shirt next season. That's just my opinion.
Obviously, to be perfectly frank, I haven't watched. He played. Is it Mainz? He's playing for this season, I believe.
Yeah.
I can't say I've been watching a whole ton of Mainz.
No. Was it Mainz or was it? Yeah,
it's been it. Is it? I thought it was at Schalke.
No. It's Mainz. I'm pretty sure, guys.
But,
correct us. We're miles away.
But you know what? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that unless he is throwing up numbers that the analytics team
last season,
that are throwing up like crazy things. I see him as being like the first bit of money balling that Edwards starts with. To be honest with you, could he become something someday? Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to impact us directly. And I think if you can sell to a Bundesliga team at a pretty penny. Bundesliga seems to be all the range this season, especially in Europe. You know what I mean? They're the cool kids on the block, so I'm sure they'll have a few pennies to spare. I think they cut their losses, to be honest, because I do think we have to start getting into territory of, Virgil van Dijk's 33. He has played a lot of minutes this season. He's played more minutes than any other player this season. He's going to be playing in the Euros, I believe. Did Holland qualify?
Yeah.
In the Euros. And so he's not going to get a break, and we've got to, there's got to be an opportunity of succession planning of who's going to be able to step in. I think the time is now to really go serious on the centre back, unless Gerald Conson wants to complete the set and take Virgil. But I think he's going to be left side. I think right side we need somebody. We really need to shake things up. I think in the defensive area.
Fair enough. Interesting times ahead. A couple of substitutions of note. Obviously, Bajcetic, Nunes Kems.
Hey, did you see the footwork straight away? Hey, I thought of you, Grizz, because I'm still trying to get you on that train. Hey, Badge stepped in and did a little bit of footwork within 2 minutes, and I was like, "Yeah, I got a message, Grizz. I got."
Look, I've just literally had a little mini exchange with someone on Twitter who called it a Rolls Royce of a performance. Now, I get the stats suggest that he won his duels, and fair play to the kid. I did not expect, whether it's Bajcetic, McAllister, Thiago Alcantara, anyone who's been out that long, I do not expect them to come on and look amazing and boss the game and be a brilliant. And everyone knows my thoughts on him. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh on him, but to call that a Rolls Royce and to people be sort of looking over that performance and thinking, oh, Bajcetic, I genuinely don't. I mean, I know you guys don't see a career for Van den Berg. I don't see a career for Bajcetic still. And I'm still going to stick to that. I hope I'm badly wrong and Cav absolutely hosts a show on just abusing me every 5 minutes. I will let you host a show, just abuse me every 5 minutes. Like, oh, by the way, Grizz didn't rate him. I'm waiting for that day and I will eat humble pie. It was great to see him back, though. Absolutely great to see him back. I think we need an authentic, experienced, someone in the caliber of Rodri and Rice for me to actually win the league. I don't think we will win the league unless we address that situation and that position, guys. I just want to finish off on a little bit of a downer. Endo has been memorable for the time he's come in and for the price and for the sort of everything around him, because we went from Caicedo, Lavia to Endo. I get all of that and I get the romance side of it. Again, he was not great. He's not good enough to win the league, in my opinion, with us. We need to address that. We've spoken about left back. We've spoken about forwards. We've spoken about centre back. I think a DM is absolutely vital, lads. I'm going to finish on that. Go on.
That was so funny. Oh, no, Conroy, please go. Sorry, Conroy.
No,
No, we're gonna
you
lose the
go.
moment.
Fine.
Yeah, we're gonna lose
No,
the
no, no.
moment.
So I have to
Yeah.
laugh because I feel like what has been the one running theme, of Redfellas since the inauguration of Redfellas, since the inauguration of Carnage TV? What has been the one running theme we have spoken about
DM.
week in, week out? Is that same position week, and we're going into another summer, and it's so true. It is so true. We have not replaced Fabinho before Fabinho lost his legs. And you know what? It cost us the league this season. And you're totally right. And I just wanted to laugh at that because we talk about this.
We're still here. We're 2024. Yeah. Third, fourth season where we're going to still be saying we need a DM of the highest caliber. I mean, look, Russell, who has said Slot doesn't play with the DM though. He plays with he doesn't play with the DM, you're right. But I guess he plays in a double pivot where one has a more defensive duty than the other.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it. Like, so say, for example, a CDM is position-wise, but a defensive midfielder, you could have one's McAllister and one's combative. So one's protecting and winning the ball back, and one's maybe more like, metronomic and starting plays. I think I do get that point, like specifically a six who just sits there. But I think even in any pivot, you'll have one who's more combative. Like you said, like Keith says, like Rice. Rice can play as well, but he's a combative one that he would win the ball back. And I feel like Kante's caused all this because like everyone's like, N'Golo Kante was a defensive well, he was a defensive minded midfielder because he'd win the ball back and do the work of two people and give it to the people who could then start it. But he wasn't always a six, and that's caused a lot of debate, I think, for this. But you still need a defensive combative. You can't just go in to say we're going to play a technical midfielder all season and have no breaks of transition to stop those moments as we've seen this season. Can I just add as well, Grizz, Endo has been a fantastic signing because for what you expected with that signing from what you've got, I think it's been pretty good, to be honest.
I get it.
Finished third. He's done a lot. He's done better than anyone thought he would. It's not been a bit part. He's had moments where he really has shunned for the team, and I don't think anyone expected that. And as much as we were on the Caicedo train to say that's still a huge signing, from what happens this summer, maybe that was not a bad thing in the sense of, as much as I still think Caicedo is a brilliant player and could be brilliant for a team, from the evidence of Lavia, who's not got a chance, and Caicedo, maybe it's worked in a weird way that we end up getting someone better for the long term. I just think it's you need that in football, the pace of football, especially in the Premier League, the transition. You just need someone there when a game's getting a bit end to end, right? Stop this. And I think Endo overachieved, to be honest. He won a League Cup. We finished third. From him personally and individually, I don't think he's done a bad job at all. What happens is we push people up to say they're this now, when it could just be that player is probably better than we originally thought he was, but he's just not a top 10 defensive midfielder. Like, both things can be true. So
I think top 10, you're stretching it. Top 10. Like, I wouldn't call him
overused though.
No, I'm saying he's not a top 10. I'm saying he's not a top 10. So you're not expecting that, from him. Whereas if you buy a Caicedo or someone like that, a Rice, you're expecting that. So that was my point. A few of the comments have said Baleba from Brighton. This was an interesting one because I've actually seen this a few times now. Do we just copy that and try and rinse Brighton against someone like that? It'd be interesting to see.
Why not? Who gives a shit?
Mate, Brighton are happy to sell if the price is right, man.
Bruv, they're looking like
absolutely.
their manager. Well, actually, the manager might be staying now, De Zerbi. So yeah, if he stays, then obviously that would be difficult. But I think he looks a fantastic prospect. I've seen him twice now live.
Looks very good.
And he looks an absolute. He's bossed us both times. I'm not gonna lie to you. He bossed our midfield twice. Now I know Caicedo and McAllister done the same, so he's in good company. I think there's a player there, and he wouldn't be expensive as those guys at all. But I mean, look, we'll address that. We'll talk about that. Anything else want to say on Endo, guys? Anyone else want anything else to talk about?
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to say. With the Endo thing, I think the problem has been all season is that we just didn't have anybody else other than Endo to do the job of Endo. So someone made a comment saying he was burnt out. What I also think was an issue is that we went into games sometimes with a midfield three that was completely out of whack, completely outbalanced. We went into some games where we were doing like Soboslai, Gravenberch, Curtis Jones. Some games where we were doing like McAllister, Elliott, Gravenberch, all players that were, again, none of them natural combative sixes. And it showed. I don't know who was talking about Stefan Bacecic being a Rolls Royce. With all due respect, no disrespect. He's been gone
It was
for a while.
Cavs burner.
But what I'm trying to say, but the game started to open up. Once Endo went off the pitch, really, to be perfectly honest with you, turned into a basketball game. And it's not just about the combative nature of knowing when to win your tackles, knowing when to be in the right space, having the legs to get up and down, but it's also being the metronome, right? It's also being able to develop play from a deeper area, to be able to kind of be clever and smart with the ball at your feet. And I think Endo has done that really, really well. That's why that's been the surprise for me. I always knew that he was.
Yeah, look, footballing intelligence-wise, he's up there with anyone I've seen.
Right?
In recent times, he's so intelligent. Yeah, absolutely.
But
and positionally.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be on him. Do you know what I mean? He should be the guy that we bring. Yeah, okay, you want to make a change this game because we want to change things around. Okay, Endo comes in, right? But the main guy should be the main guy. And who that main guy is, I'm sure we'll debate to high heaven going into the summer. But as I said, big props to Endo. I just think this season it kind of ran away from him a bit. I think we just put too much pressure on his shoulders and his legs, and I think ultimately it showed towards, especially this month. It showed.
I can't believe this comment. I mean, promo.
Okay.
I'm telling you, the Kante thing has caused this. If you look at any debate, Kante position-wise on a formation has caused these debates for me.
What I will say is Rodri is everything. So if you mean that, I'll give you some leeway. But if Rodri isn't a DM, I don't know what it's good. But Rodri is a unicorn. Rodri is everything. Rodri is everything. He is and I'll say again, and I'm sorry if I've said it before, but just hear me out again. He is the most single important player for any side in world football, club or country right now.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that. A deep line playmaker is Pirlo for me. That's a deep line playmaker, not a combative DM, but he is that good on the ball. He'll come and do that, especially Juventus when he moved there. So
he means in a pet system. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, I get that. But if you look at even Rodri at Atletico as well, that's a.
But then Paseo says everyone's a playmaker in a pep team.
Yeah, I know that's a fair point. You're locked out of training if you're not a playmaker. In that.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You're not allowed in, mate. You know that.
You're not getting in the door, mate. The security guards need to do keep you uppies, I think, to get in the door.
Man, I tell you, you have to be a playmaker. But guys, we have a couple of games left now. Aston Villa away, and then Wolves at home. 2 weeks, 2 games. Another week of training. Keith loves a week of training, and the players refreshing, and maybe going and visiting Harrods like Mohamed Salah was this week. What do we want? We just want a couple of nice wins, a couple of basketball games where it's 4-1, heavy metal. I want Klopp to be remembered right at the end like he was remembered at the start. And how many times has he said, what's that famous saying, guys? Someone remind me in the chat where he says, I just care about what you're remembered when you leave or something along those lines.
Yeah, what people say to you when you're gone.
Yeah, something like that. Someone in the chat will correct us. We've made a shithole attempt of that, but someone will correct us what he actually meant by saying you're remembered something when you leave the club or something.
He says it's not what they think of you when you join; it's what they think of you when you leave. Yeah.
We don't need the chat when we got Cav.
There we go.
There you go. Cav said it in one.
Don't quote me on it, but yeah.
No, I think you're spot on. No, you're spot on.
I think, Chris. Sorry, I have to say this. I think that it would be the fitting end to the Jurgen Klopp era to play the last game at home against Wolverhampton, which we've done many, many times before. Mathematically be in with a chance of winning the league mathematically.
Stop it,
and then we don't. And then we don't. That will be.
Keith. Yeah. We'd need some madness in the other games. But look, That's what we want. We want Klopp to be happy. Like today, he was, fist pumping, and he knew it. He had to do it. His tradition, his culture. He's built this culture and tradition, and I was so chuffed to him. I want him smiling for the rest of the games, and maybe fly kick an odd referee here and there in between. But I've enjoyed it, guys. Today, I didn't think I'm gonna enjoy it. I thought we're gonna have a damp squib like our team has.
So did I. I thought that as well, Grizz. I thought it was going to be like just a boring, just monotone event, but it wasn't.
It wasn't, and that's what it is, right? That's what it is. Gucci's like got motivated by Keith's speech. Said, "It's back on." Oh, for fuck's sake, guys! Don't listen to Keith; you'll go mad. But anything else for anyone else?
Yeah, just quickly before we go, we play Monday night next week. So to the chat, get in the comments now or after the video. Let us know what you want us to do on Redfellas next week, because we're gonna have a free show there.
Sugar plum, yeah. Unless we can go Monday night, I don't know. We'll assess the situation. But yeah, let us know in the chat now, and leave comments under the video to let us know what you want to do for next Sunday and weeks coming ahead. We will need your help and ideas, creative minds between us. I'm not sure about. I don't trust any of these creative minds. So leave us some ideas and suggestions. Don't just fill it out with transfers. But I get it. Transfers will be a massive, huge part. Conroy's right. Big up the chat. We've enjoyed you this season. You've been amazing. It's not over yet. We've still got 2 games to go. When is the next court session? We might actually do a Redfellas court session. That will be interesting as well. Yeah. Opinions may have changed, I think. Opinions may have changed. Skip Tomorrow says, bless Redfellas. It's not nice having to stress at least anymore. But then again, I'm a sucker for pain. I think that's exactly where we're at. Guys, this has been Redfellas Sunday night. Liverpool 4, Spurs 2, a humdinger game. Jurgen Klopp would have loved it no other way. Thank you very much, guys. Peace.